Why India does not need a two-child law. Responding to a petition filed in Supreme Court, India's Health Ministry has said that it will not implement a mandatory two-child policy by denying government jobs, subsidies and certain rights to larger families. Experts say this is the right decision. Welcome to IS Gurukul. Let's know more about this topic. With fertility rates falling across states, India does not need a law enforcing a two-child norm as sought by petition Supreme Court. Such a law could instead have unintended consequences like sex-selective and unsafe abortions and further skew India's sex ratio, which is already very skewed. In its response, Indian government told the apex court that it would not implement a mandatory two-child policy. The family welfare program in India is voluntary in nature, which enables couples to decide the size of their family and adopt a family planning methods best suited to them. The affidavit by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare said, in fact, international experience shows that any coercion to have a certain number of children is counterproductive and leads to demographic distortions. However, several states including Assam, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh already have some form of two-child policy for those running for elected government posts and government jobs. An analysis of the newly released health data by government showed that such laws are unnecessary. In 19 of the 22 states and union territories for which data were released, women have fewer than 2 children on average. Also, Indian families still have a male preference, as quoted by Economic Survey. The sex ratio at birth in India was 896 for girls for every 1000 boys compared to a normal ratio of 943 to 980 girls for every 1000 boys in 2015-17. This means that if families were disincentivized from having more than 2 children, they are more likely to abort or abandon a daughter in the hope of having a son. It worsens the India's sex ratio. Coercive family planning is not needed. 25 Indian states already have fertility rates at replacement levels or near replacement levels. There is no need for coercive family planning measures, said Alok Vajpayee, Joint Director of Population Fund of a Delhi-based NGO. Fertility rates lower than replacement level fertility rates, 2.1 children per woman on average, means that current population cannot be replaced at a prevailing population growth rate. NFHS 4 data says that India's total fertility rate has fallen from 3.4 children per woman aged 15 to 49 years in 1992 to 93 to 2.2 children in 2015 to 16. This is projected to fall further to 1.93 by 2025 and to 1.8 by 2030 without any coercive law, as per Health Ministry report. Critics argue that a policy to control population across all Indian states would be counterproductive. States have widely varied fertility rates. For instance, in 2019-20, Bihar had a fertility rate of 3 children per woman in 15 to 49 years age bracket, whereas Sikkim has 1.1 children as per NFHS data. Fifth round. That means that in Sikkim, women have fewer children than the required rate to replace the current generation. The fertility rate across Indian states has fallen without coercive measures as family incomes increased and women were educated. Socio-economic factors, education, modernization, access to contraceptives and state policies for development all affect fertility rate. For the 22 states and union territories for which NFHS 5 data were released, 19 have below replacement level fertility rates. Now let us understand why coercion fails. After 1991 census, several states prohibited those who had more than 2 children from holding any panchayat posts. Instead of better family planning, this had unintended consequences like men deserting or divorcing their wives if they became pregnant a third time. sex determination and abortions, and given the persisting preference for sons, families going in for repeated pregnancies, according to a study that spanned Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Odisha and Rajasthan. Anjani Kumar Singh, a Lucknow-based organization which is Vatsalya, says that laws which punish families for having a third child or forced abortions for third child will increase female feticide and unsafe abortions. Also, the data shows that for the first child, the sex ratio is not too bad, but it is very bad for the second or third childs. Families not only want a boy, but they only want a boy. Experts say that China's one-child policy had led to sex-selective abortions and an aging population with a fast declining workforce. The skewed sex ratio also led to increased trafficking of women and forced prostitution in China. In India, there is already a demand for family planning not met by current policies. According to NFHS 4 data, about 13% of women, that is 30 million, between the ages of 15 to 49 years wanted to prevent or delay their pregnancy, but were not using contraceptives. This could be because they did not have access to contraceptives or did not have the agency to choose one. Experts also say that it is also likely that women would bear the brunt of two-family norm. Over 8 years to 2016, the use of condoms declined by 52% and vasectomies fell by 73%, showing the reluctance among men to engage with birth control. One of the fallouts of this has been unsafe abortions. More than half of the abortions in India are unsafe, showing that though women want to control family sizes, they do not have access to safe methods. Sometimes because families want to abortion to be hidden, especially the fetus is female, or because there is no access to registered practitioners, quacks perform unsafe abortions which are dangerous for the health of women. Then what's the solution? Education awareness works better than coercion. This is what experts repeatedly says. Women's education, awareness about family planning and easy availability of contraceptives would be more effective than coercive methods. According to PFI, only about 4% of National Health Mission budget is spent on family planning programs, of which the majority is for incentives to families and service providers for sterilization. In 2019, a bill in Rajya Sabha for population control had asked for incentives for sterilization by giving special benefits to those families in which either spouse undergoes sterilization. If doctors or other service providers are incentivized for sterilization operations, it could result in a dangerous situation where doctors do many operations in a day without quality care. For example, in the year 2014, in Bilaspur, 13 women died after sterilization of 83 women who were operated in a single day. The budget for family planning would be better spent in greater adolescent care and awareness programs to reduce social and cultural taboos in choosing contraception and behavior change communication, especially for men. Population is not just a negative factor, but it can also be a positive factor if we can leverage it for economic benefit. Even if couples in India decide to have only 1 or 2 children, India's population will continue to increase until 2051 as the population is young, with over 60% under the age of 35 years. UNFPA report in 2018 says that India can use its large working population to fuel fast economic growth